Well. After months of straight whoopings, things are finally coming up democracy in weird and unusual ways. Welcome to this week's talk show. You must have seen this. No sitting president has ever done anything quite like this. Threatened his opposition directly, essentially with the words punishable by death. Yeah, that's right. Recently, Trump basically posted a series of Truth Social messages calling multiple Democratic lawmakers traitorous, seditious, and then suggesting that their actions were punishable by death. I hate the Truth Social platform, and I hate the audacity of calling it Truth Social because it's just lies in a closet. It is the opposite of Truth Social. Immediately afterwards, a wave of death threats, bomb threats, explicitly violent voicemails, etc. hit many a Democratic office, in particular, those connected to the military and the intelligence communities, which, as we might suspect, is terrifying and really bad news. Then everyone's favorite lame duck Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer came out and wrote a strongly worded letter and said something probably incredibly understated about the significant increase of political violence and the risk of that. Why should you care as an average viewer? Well, this is not politics as usual, folks. This is a former president basically using language that historically precedes actual violence, okay? January 6th, you remember that? This is another January 6th level flashpoint. Basically, Trump says, I hate you, and his minions move to attack. And this has happened before in the past. It's not like, oh, maybe things are going to happen. It's like, no, this is literally the playbook. Trump gets big angry, calls somebody crap, people die. Remember? Minnesota? So the rest of us normies are stuck living in the country where this tension actually plays out. The political violence doesn't just live in D.C. and stay there. In my own town, some jerk wrote Democratic leaders you're next, and the cops basically came up and made him take it down because you can't basically threaten people. You can't fucking do that. This is not normal. This kind of rhetoric basically moves the Overton window. Once a leader says opponents should die, someone inevitably acts on it. I know what you're thinking. Let's be clear. It's Epstein files all the way down, folks. This is basically another situation where Trump knows, he just knows his goose is cooked. He knows he needs big, scary, big stuff to distract the masses, you and me. So keep that in mind as we continue through the rest of today's episode. In our second story today, this is a wild one for sure. Marjorie Taylor Greene resigns from Congress. I don't think I would have ever expected this to happen in a million years, even with all the controversy going on. MTG, not Magic the Gathering, Marjorie the Grumpening, easily one of the loudest, most controversial MAGA figures. She just announced that she's resigning from Congress effective early 2026. As a millennial, my immediate reaction is very Anchorman and sort of, I don't believe you. But at the same time, it kind of follows this, public breakup with Trump, right? Trump called her a traitor, said that, she's terrible because she's trying to push to release the Epstein files, which he ran on in his campaign. And a lot of the GOP talked about Epstein shit. So anyway, the internal guardians of the pedophiles, they're fighting and they're angry and their infighting has escalated. What it really kind of signals, basically, it's further destabilization of the incredibly fractured Republican caucus. And as someone who hates pedophiles and is tired of the Republican lies, I'm sort of thrilled that the caucus is in splinters, is in the shredder, and not the cool ones like in Ninja Turtles. Now, why should you care? Marge the Grump. She's probably one of the most recognizable political characters of the last 5 years. So whether you love her or hate her, or both, or neither, she has absolutely shaped the spectacle in some way. And what that also means is that when she exits, there's gonna be another MAGA power struggle. That could reshape 2026 elections. I love the idea of maybe a non-MAGA swooping in and grabbing that seat. Looking at you, Georgia. Well, looking at you, Democrats. The other thing about this is a resignation that's this sudden and this dramatic usually means that something is happening behind the scenes. Major pivot probably coming. Guarantee you she's going to use this to grift in her own manner, right? Book deals, media. I'm sure she'll talk about like a Trump world civil war. Woo! The thing is, it's like unusual to see someone this high profile kind of implode in real time, which is great. So yeah, we like rarely ever get to see the tale of Icarus unfold in the real world, right? Wax wings flying up high to the sun, an orange, angry Trump sun. So I hope you bought some stock in popcorn because it's starting. The action has begun, and that demand is going to skyrocket. Our third, and this is kind of the main story for me anyway, the weirdest and most unexpected meeting ever. Trump and Zohran Mamdani meeting in the Oval Office. I still am wrapping my head around this. Talk about a shock meeting. Here's what happened. After months of Trump calling Zohran Mamdani a communist, implying he wasn't American, threatening deportation. You remember that? He threatened Mamdani with deportation. I don't know if you knew that. All of a sudden, invites him to the White House. Wow, isn't that unusual? The meeting was like bizarrely friendly. Trump called Mamdani very rational, and it's like all smiles, la-di-da-di-da, like nothing has happened. I don't know if you're a WWE fan, but this is like the heel suddenly hugging the babyface. Like this is a flip of the story in a really, really big way. Okay, we're going to adjust the view here for a second. I want you to see this face. see Zoran's face. See Trump, who's kind of like, We see Zohran, he's kind of got this flat, like, I saw this shot from this interview and I was like, where have I seen this energy before? Where have I seen this? Oh, yeah. Chuck Berry, John Lennon, Yoko Ono takes the microphone and starts screaming into it. This face. This is where I remember this from. Yeah, there you go. So anyway, that's what this reminded me of. This ridiculous meeting between Trump and Mamdani. Chuck Berry, John Lennon, Yoko Ono vibes. Okay, so why should you, the average viewer, care? I mean, this is absolute political cinema at its finest, okay? Two ideological opposites, two polar philosophies suddenly acting like absolute besties with zero explanation whatsoever. So I love this because it reinforces that Trump literally can just flip on a dime, and mostly to play to his own benefit. It's all for strategic reasons, which is kind of obvious as hell, right? Again, Epstein files all the way down. He knows he needs to distract. And I'll tell you, this is definitely one of the best distractions I've seen, at least coming out of Camp Trump recently. Now, the other thing is, it's hinting at deeper recalculations among the Trumpsters because Trump does not do anything without some kind of political self-interest. Like he's got something to gain. He's got something to gain out of this, obviously. And then Mamdani, our man, I mean, he's kind of like the new political kid on the block, right? Young, progressive, immigrant-born. He's the mayor of New York. And seeing him meet cordially with Trump is like wildly unexpected based on his campaign messaging and local federal dynamics of today. All of this is totally wild, and I cannot believe it. Stick around, folks. Can only imagine how wild this is going to get. Who knows? I mean, maybe he'll actually work with Mamdani. Maybe he'll work with Zohran and get some cool stuff done. I can only hope. Once again, the anchorman in me does not believe that this is real. Now we're going to take a bit of a sidestep. I am one of those sort of like chronically online individuals. I am frequently on Reddit. I'm always looking at news stories and current events and stuff like that on the internet just because, I don't know, can't help myself. The attention span of a shrimp. And as I scan with my shrimp-like attention span, I stumble upon all sorts of interesting things. Like I said, big Reddit guy. One of the communities I find incredibly entertaining, a community called Tragedy. And that is misspelled in a hilarious way. So let me get this on screen. So this is the post I wanted to share with you. Hopefully you can read this. A tragedy, a little bit of context here, is essentially someone misspelling a name in a ridiculous way. Like you've all come across folks that do like a weird spelling of something like Brittany a weird spelling of something like Ashley, some of these common names. Tragedy is not really where you'll find those. Tragedy is where you'll see these names taken to the next level. And this, my dear friends, is probably one of the spiciest tragedies I've ever heard. This is like a street lamp Lamousse level tragedy, though, where it's like so spicy it becomes incredible. So let me just highlight this. This XY apostrophe DUS is pronounced Exodus. And God bless you, sir or ma'am. I think she updates to say that she's a girl. Yeah. God bless you, ma'am. That's a tough name to deal with. I just want to look straight at the camera and tell you, Exodus, you may want to change this name. You may want to change the spelling of your name. I can understand wanting to change this so much. But I also want you to think about the opposite perspective here for just a second. No one who meets you forgets your name. No one who meets you and learns the spelling of your name forgets you. You have an unforgettable name. So yes, does it qualify as a tragedy? Totally. I think your name is worth keeping. I think you've got something special, and I think that makes you special. Anyways, Exodus, I think you've got an awesome name. Keep it. All right, let's keep cruising. So we've talked about the U.S. Let's get a little bit of world news in here. The G20 summit has happened without the U.S. That's a big deal, even if many of us don't realize it. So in Johannesburg, which is Africa, the G20 summit took place, and the U.S. literally boycotted the event entirely. So Trump, I guess, accused South Africa of crimes against white farmers and rejected the summit's agenda. There's so much to unpack in that statement. I'm going to just put it all aside, but suffice to say, no, it's not how that happened. A little something called apartheid, right? Anyway, despite the boycott, 42 other countries attended and reached a draft declaration without the U.S. involvement. Amazing. Great job, all the rest of you. America, get fucked. Why do you care? Because the U.S. basically walked off the world stage for one of the biggest annual geopolitical events. Okay, this is a big deal. And for us to be like, no, we're not interested, is terrible. We have to start caring about this. And it is unacceptable that Trump can just be like, man, I don't want to. And then we're all just like, all right, well, I guess we're not going to. This sucks because this is the kind of move that changes global alliances long term. Okay, we want allies. We want to be allied in our move towards green energy and, I don't know, fighting climate change. So this sucks because like it affects everything from gas prices to wars. I don't know if you knew wars are bad, but they are. It's also kind of symbolic that like the world is moving on without America, okay? The world train has left the station and America's back on platform 33 1/3. So if you're not following the G20 closely, you will feel the effects later in the form of trade, in the form of energy costs, diplomacy changes across the world. These are big deals, and you should be aware of it. Next on the world stage, global health funding has apparently fallen off of a cliff. That's not a cliff I want us to be leaping from. New data from global health leaders shows that there's a 30 to 40% collapse in international funding to fight AIDS, tuberculosis, malaria, other deadly diseases. The experts warn that several countries are now at risk of losing the progress that they've made over the 2 decades. Also, infectious disease, they tend to not stay in their home countries. Hello? Coronavirus, anyone? Jesus, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. Global outbreaks basically come from local outbreaks, okay? And vice versa. Global outbreaks become local outbreaks. Local outbreaks become global ones, like back and forth. Anyway. Underfunding is bad because it leads to future risk of a global pandemic. And then if the diseases that you've been fighting rebound, that could also cause travel restrictions, could cause economic shock. Lots of people could just die. And that makes global instability, all of which are superb. And by that, I mean fucking terrible. Come on. At the moment, it's sort of a slow-moving crisis, but I'll tell you, pandemics become fast-moving ones very quickly and without warning. And with Trump at the helm, God forbid we get another freaking pandemic. He'll be like telling you to shoot heroin into your testicles to cure it. Okay, in our next world news story, this is another one that also makes me incredibly angry. Ukraine tensions continue to rise, basically over this new peace plan that's obviously favorable to Russia. Okay? U.S. and Ukraine held emergency talks in Switzerland, and there was leaks of a new peace plan that basically gave Russia more territory. Ukraine naturally was furious. Western allies confused. Russia completely unbothered. Their boy Krasnov just keeps on delivering, doesn't he? Thankfully, as I record this on November 23rd at around 12:30 Eastern time, we've gotten confirmation that Zelensky has not accepted. I believe he has rejected the deal outright. Thank you. Thank you, Volodymyr. You're the man. This sucks because this is another potential geopolitical pivot point in the war. Again, wars create instability, which create ripple effects. So energy prices, NATO could be in some shit. There's just risk of broader conflict when people are fighting and not getting along with each other. It also changes some U.S. stuff because our stance changes. That also means that the war could change. That means that all of a sudden maybe we're sending money, or we're sending weaponry, or we're not sending money and we're not sending weaponry when they need that, et cetera, et cetera. You may not be following the frontline maps, but you will feel the downstream effects. Like I said, gas prices. You'll feel inflation. You'll feel the global tension. You'll see the military spending. And election politics, right? It's all over our election politics. Thanks for sticking with me, everyone. It's really been great so far this week. And by great, I mean wild and unexpected. Let's finish up today's episode with a couple of quick hits here. So, Congress says they're close to making a deal, which probably means that they haven't even started talking. Lawmakers assured reporters that the government funding deal is within reach, which, you know, in Congress speak means someone texted, "Are you up?" And then that got left unread. Next, TSA rolls out new screening rules. Millions of Americans roll their eyes. The TSA announced enhanced security protocols, which is basically code for take off your shoes, take off your dignity, and remove any hope of making your next flight. Elon Musk announces he'll fix America, does not specify how. Classic Musk maneuver, tweeting that he's ready to fix the country. Bold, considering he still can't fix Cybertruck windows. The Northeast braces for a big storm. New Yorkers brag, I've seen worse. Winter storm headed for the Northeast. I'm very excited because I'm ready for ski season. Officials are warning of power outage, traffic delays, the usual stuff, and New Yorkers basically going, come on, this is nothing. Florida man runs for office. Everyone is immediately worried, as you might suspect. A Florida man announced his candidacy for Congress. No one knows his platform, but odds are it involves gators, meth, maybe both. TikTok teens outraged over the new update, declaring it's worse than the Great Depression. No exaggeration. TikTok adjusted its algorithm, prompting teens to say that their For You page is unusable. That is the same complaints we've been making about our representation in Congress. JetBlue says it will improve on-time performance. America laughs. JetBlue promised to fix its delays. Passengers responded with our national pastime, sarcastic applause. AI chatbot accidentally declares itself president, polls at 7%. An AI glitch caused a chatbot to announce a 2026 presidential run, and it immediately outpolled several sitting members of Congress. Schumer! Costco rotisserie chicken, now $4.99. The nation is suspicious, y'all. Costco miraculously somehow kept its chicken price at $4.99 despite inflation. Economists say this defies financial logic, and Americans say, shut up, hand me that bird. Scientists warn the moon is drifting further away, just like millennial friendships, am I right? Scientists say the moon is inching further from the Earth every year. Experts call it a natural phenomenon. Therapists call it maintaining a healthy level of attachment. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for watching. It has been a pleasure. Another episode of Talk Show Under the Belt. We'll see you in a few days for this week so far. Thanks for watching.